Guys, welcome back to another video. I'm gonna post this video only if they don't release anything on Tuesday, which is I'm recording this video today. But if they do, then I'm gonna postpone this video until probably maybe Thursday or Saturday. I'll think about it, probably until Saturday. But they did say there's gonna be more information about Arena Reloaded. But anyways, this video is, well, it does relate to Arena Reloaded, but it's just about Splitgate as a whole, right? And today we're going to be talking about skill-based matchmaking and why I think it's necessary. Now, I don't know, I won't call it's a necessary evil, because I don't think it's necessarily evil. Now, it's not like something like engagement optimized matchmaking where like the whole goal is to increase retention, right? Even though skill-based matchmaking kind of does do that, because it tries to keep you on it basically tries to keep your win rate at a 50% chance, basically, since you're going against people of this, of similar skill level. So you won't end up like, getting destroyed or the lobbies getting lopsided. It's just to prevent, match blowouts, basically. And I do think Splitgate needs this. And I did heard that Splitgate does have like a tier 3 skill-based matchmaking system. How this ranking goes is basically tier 1s is like new slash bad players. Tier 2 is like average to casual players, and then tier 3s is like veteran to like, high skill players, and where also the pro resides as well. And I think that's how it goes. It is kind of like loosened a lot, because you kind of get thrown into everybody. I don't know, that's just what I've heard on, Reddit, of course, the subreddit for Splitgate, of course. I think Texas Ticker was the one that said it, I believe. And I don't know, man, because like when I was playing Splitgate 2 before, the servers got shut down for, Arena Reloaded, I've been going against anybody, like literally anybody. I've been going against like people in the community. Sometimes I've been going against like, streamers, Splitgate hardcore streamers, like Demers Souls. Sometimes I go against, like people like Smurto, like, really good players. And yeah, I haven't really went against like the Splitgate 1 hardcore pro players yet. Well, not yet, at least. Now if I do, then I'm gonna get destroyed, I know that. But I digress. I don't know how many times I said that in past videos. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that I can see why Splitgate, not kind of, like 100% see why Splitgate is gonna remain niche, because arena shooters have been always competitive in nature. So therefore, it's not gonna really like gravitate towards a casual gamer, rather than someone who's just like a hardcore gamer, or someone who is well versed into competitive gaming. It is unfortunate, and plus the portals doesn't make it that much better, to be honest with you. As much as I love portals, I do understand why it will be like, demoralizing for a new player, to basically having to see that, let alone go against that, right? Or fight against that, or try to fight against that. Now, I know a lot of people, now really skill-based matchmaking really affects, like, I'll say the above average players the most, because they're not going to like quit the game because of like, they're tired of going against sweats. I think it's just more like burnout. I think it does. I think some of them do probably get tired of going against like people of their same skill level, because they're probably sweats themselves, right? But at the same time, I think it's just creates like this burnout fatigue, to basically you're tired of going against the same clones of yourself, or relatively close to the same clones of yourself. While like average players, it's kind of similar. But like if average, like I said, if the matchmaking was open and everybody was going going against each other, it would basically go like this. Basically, we'll start from the bottom. Like the bad players will basically, you end up leaving and quitting, because they are usually going against people that are higher than them, usually, right? Because the average player will be like, say, at tier 3, and the new players will be like tier 5, right? The new slash bad players, right, will be like tier 5 or 4, right? Now the tier 5 players, they're, like I said, they're usually going against people who is higher than them in their skill bracket, right? So they're probably going to end up leaving, right? And that leads to tier 4s, 3s, 2s, and 1s, right? And then tier 4s is just only going against each other. Same thing with tier 5s, I forgot to say. But they're only going against each other, but they're barely even running into each other. because most of the time they're gonna be running into tier 3s and 2s, right? Maybe an occasional tier 1, a little bitty, but then they will end up to the tier 4s will end up leaving the game because they don't have tier 5s to like destroy anymore. And then after that, it would just be tier 3s and 2s and 1s. And you see how it kind of creates like a domino effect, like one piece falls, another one falls, right? It basically goes on and on and on until basically the tier 3s leave because they're going against like people of their same skill level, well, relatively their same skill level, which basically turns into an SBMM experience anyways, even if the matchmaking is more open. We've seen this with Black Ops 7, for example, right? Where basically all the bad players are going into the skill-based matchmaking playlist, right? To go against each other. The average players are just setting themselves up just to get destroyed by the really good players, right? The really good players, they're getting their nukes, they're getting their streaks, all this and that, right? It's kind of a similar situation what's going on with Splitgate. Basically, all the portal demons, sweats, whatever, right? They're, destroying the competition with average players versus the tier 3 players. So the tier 3 players, they're going to feel like the experience is SBMM. So they're basically just going to leave, right? And then you're just left with like tier 1s and 2s, right? And that's just how it goes. That's why developers have understood for years that skill-based matchmaking was like a necessity to a lot of games. And also, we can't forget that skill-based matchmaking needs to work if the sample size, is big enough as well. Like if it's a small player base, skill-based matchmaking, it cannot work. We also seen, when the player base has dwindled down with a lot of games, like older Call of Duty games, for example, that has this, Modern Warfare 19 based matchmaking where the game has basically chilled down and it's a lot easier to enjoy the game since you're like throwing into everybody with everybody else. But at the same time though, it might not be too bad to go against people relatively your same skill level, but at the same time, it's public matchmaking, right? It makes no sense. It only makes sense for a ranked environment for that to be the case, right? But at the same time, the skill level of like an average, for example, has gotten basically too, much to the point where a lot of people just either can't keep up or, they're just, they quit in the game, right? And this is just to say for the fact that this kind of creates, like I said, for the average players, it just creates, well, not average, but, well, maybe a little average, but I say mostly above average players, it just creates like a feeling of burnout because they keep going against each other over and over. Because if you're not playing like at your skill level and you just want to like autopilot, or you just got off of work or whatever, you don't feel like playing at your usual skill level, then you're gonna go down in the MMR or the tier or whatever, right? Because you're not focusing, right? You're not caring about power positioning or whatever the case may be. Slightly above average and above average players, it's going to be like a pseudo SBMM experience anyways, because they're going against people of their skill level. They're going to be the new average players once the average players leave the game, because the average players keep getting farmed. So if they keep getting farmed, they don't got no tier 4s and 5s to destroy, then it's just, they're just going to leave anyhow. Because like I said, it creates an SBMM type experience for them anyways as well, because all the tier 4s and 5s is gone and the tier 3s are usually going against each other. Like I said earlier, in games like XDefiant, at real time, what happens when a game doesn't have no skill-based matchmaking after you get done with the welcome playlist? Like once everyone got out the welcome playlist, it was just like you were cooked, bro, literally. And basically, like I said, the entire domino effect that I explained literally exactly happened. Now, a lot of people can say, well, the monetization was bad. Yeah, I can agree to that. And also, just XDefiant wasn't in a complete state because the hit reg was, horrible and stuff. It was pretty horrendous. But I will say it kind of does contribute to why, XDefiant failed in a way. Even though I did enjoy XDefiant as a game, I just don't want Splitgate to have the same fate just because, we were like anti-SBMM. I think people just need to understand why SBMM is even a thing. And if SBMM truly did not work, then companies wouldn't even give the single thought of implementing skill-based matchmaking anyways, and all that jazz. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'm gonna see you guys later. I gotta go. I gotta flow. Whoa. I gotta go.